Hello and welcome to the DM's Journal. In an effort to provide you with weekly videos instead of once or twice a month videos, I am filming out here on my porch, and it's a little bit cold. Like I did the very first time I started opening these before it got too cold in winter, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't film on the porch anymore because it's too cold. Well, now it's not too cold anymore because it's technically spring. So here I am on the porch. Welcome to the DM's Journal. Okay, this week we had in-person D&D, and we were absolutely safe while doing it. One of our people is fully vaccinated, I'm almost fully vaccinated, we are all low risk, and we quarantine ourselves greatly. So, we managed to stay, we were 6 feet apart and masked when we were not eating. Everyone felt safe, and no symptoms have occurred, so we all feel very, very happy about that. It was amazing, as in-person D&D often is, even though I had nothing prepared. A complete opposite from last week. I was laid low with period cramps, and I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't prepare. So I didn't prep anything, and everything went fine. I introduced some NPCs that I hadn't introduced before. I had missed that beat, and because when we play every other week, my characters are always a little bit fuzzy on exactly where they left off. So I was like, by the way, we left off somewhere in the tavern, I think you're going shopping, but in the night of the tavern, this whole thing also happened. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. And we just sort of went on, and it was great. And it's super important that I introduce those characters, because they'll be coming back later into the story, so I really needed to get there. And I think I'm gonna speed up, because there are a couple of more, like, timed encounters that I have to do. That's really important for me to do. Technically, they're supposed to happen during the day, but I'm bored and I want to get down into the dungeon. So I think I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, and because they've been kind of wandering around a little bit, I'll just jump those forward. So that's going to be fine. Nobody's going to notice. I mean, all of you will notice because I just told you, and if my players watch this, then they will know as well. But it's going to be fine. Totally nothing to worry about. Yeah, like, I didn't really learn anything. I don't really have a cool lesson or something to wrap around this video. Because all I really learned was something I already knew, that in-person D&D is amazing and so much fun, and it's nice where you don't have to worry about glitches or slowdowns or talking over one another, because Discord only allows one person's voice through. It's fabulous. I really enjoy it. So I hope that we'll continue. Sorry, it's early and I have to leave in like an hour and a half for work. Oh yes, so I figured in this thing I do a quick lore dump for people. I think I sort of did a lore dump in the earlier videos, but who wants to go back and watch the earlier videos, right? So I'll do a lore dump again in case you missed the earlier videos. I am doing a homebrew world. My homebrew world is called Niel, because when I was looking for a word, all I saw was a Jack Daniels glass, but it was turned, so all I had was the N-I-E-L, and I was like, Niel, that's a cool name for a world. Let's call it Niel, because that's how naming goes sometimes. It has 3 distinct continents. It has Runth, it has Kaless, and it has the Tabaxi Islands. Due to reasons that I really can't go in yet, because my players may watch this video and they need to discover this lore for themselves, Runth is populated solely by dwarves, humans, elves, and halflings. Kaless has a few pockets of humans and elves and halflings that are native to the land, but it is mostly populated by animalkin, or as people from Runth call them, paranormals. You've got your dragonborns, you have your Aarakocra, you have dog people, you have Luxodons, you have lizard folk, and there are no dwarves on Kaless. No dwarves. And then the Tabaxi Islands are where the Tabaxi are from. Runth is slowly accruing a population of animalkin, or again, paranormals, as they like to call them, because of their main and only harbor city known as Harbor. The dwarves named it. Totally not me. The dwarves. Harbor is built like Minas Tirith if Minas Tirith were built into the side of the cliff with a huge man-made harbor in front of it. And it had the aesthetics of Markarth from Skyrim and the city planning of New York City. It's a super cool city, guys. Ruth has no natural harbors. If you know the cliffs of Dover, the entire continent of Ruth is kind of like that. It is just elevated high above the ocean with no natural harbors. When the dwarves realized that there was a whole other continent that they'd been missing out on trading, they said, we need to build a harbor. The elves of Ruth were reticent about the plausibility of the idea, but a few mages were interested in lending a helping hand. The humans were absolutely gung-ho. They loved doing things that nobody's ever done before, and they were the dwarves' biggest allies, and they kept on throwing wilder and wilder suggestions out. The halflings were a little bit sore about harbor at first, because you see, their main place is the Halfling Plains, and River's End is the one harbor that they sort of had. They had built a contraption for hauling ships up, and goods and cargo and things up the waterfall, and to them that signaled the end of their relevance in terms of the trade. However, their prowess at explosions and at building large contraptions won out in the end, and they helped the dwarves. And also, they didn't want to give up a chance to show everyone that they make the best food and throw the best parties. Halflings. Yeah. The humans came up with the idea of preserving the cliff face. Their argument was that it would be incredibly cool, and also it would be one of the most defensible harbors that anybody had ever seen. And the dwarves agreed with the latter argument, and not so much the former, but they all secretly were like, yeah, it is super cool. So they kept 80 feet of the cliff face, and they carved a number of holes into it, which allowed harbor to flood with natural she ocean. So it has the tides, it flows and ebbs, and they're big enough to let ships go in, and you have like floating docks in front of the holes to guide ships in, and the holes are blocked every night and unblocked every morning with huge stone boulders, courtesy of some earth magic and some dwarven ingenuity when it comes to earthiness. And this, the closing off of the harbor every night and the opening of it every morning, pleased the halfling, because it meant that River's End was still relevant, but only for those more clandestine affairs that wanted to circumnavigate the dwarves', shall we say, more stringent policies on magic tradings and other contraband. So the halflings were quite pleased with this arrangement. The halflings also got to contribute one of their super famous big old contraptions that they as a race are famous for building. They built a skylift, which runs all the way from the bottom level of harbor, at the literal harbor, to the very top where it meets the natural land of Ruth. And it's just like a little skylift that you can go back and forth. You pay a gold, and it's a way to get through all the levels quickly without having to walk up hundreds of thousands of stairs. There are rumors that in the long, complicated sewer system of Ruth, there is access to the dwarven tunnels. The dwarven tunnels run all through the land of Ruth. It's how the dwarves travel. It's how most people, if they want to travel safely, they travel underground through the dwarven roads. You can risk going on land, but you risk bandits and other creatures coming. So everybody thinks that there's ways to secret tunnels that the dwarves don't let anybody travel, because the dwarves guard their secrets and their tunnels very, very tightly. Nobody knows, though. They're just rumors. Nobody's ever managed to come back from their exploration into the dwarven tunnels to see if there is one. Ha ha ha. So it's all very mysterious and mystery-like. Mwah. Harbor was an epic undertaking. It took 10 years to build, and it actually cost a few lives. There's a little memorial of all the workers and lives that were lost, mostly because exploding things and rock falls are, you know, and animals when you're building a thing, and they had to disturb some animals. But eventually, Harbor was created, and it is the crowning jewel of Ruth, second only to Vilnius, the main capital city of the dwarves, where the rock, no, not that rock, the other rock, the Dwarven King. That's where he lives. And that's the story of Harbor and how it was made. If you want to use the city of Harbor in your campaign, if I've managed to inspire you, please do. Ask me questions. You can ask me questions in the comments. You can ask me questions on Twitter. I'm at IlluminAnnieTv on Twitter. and you can totally send me questions. All I ask is that you know, if you use it, tell me about it, because I'd love to know if anybody is watching and using my work. That would be amazing. And if you're interested in seeing more semi-regular content from me, I also am on TikTok. I'm posting videos occasionally, mostly about art. So you can find me there at IlluminAnnieTv on TikTok as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to upload these videos more regularly. Bye!